positive thinking. You've heard it 1,000 times, and every time it lands like a line from someone whose life was easy. Just think positive. Good vibes. Look on the bright side. And you have tried it. You have pasted a fake smile over the same voice that has been running you down since you opened your eyes this morning. The voice that reads a compliment as a mistake they will catch later. The one keeping a running list of everything wrong with you, updated by the hour. The one that talks to you in a tone you would never use on a stranger or even on a man you could not stand. It tells you that if people really knew you, they would leave. It drags up a thing you did years ago and makes you pay for it again tonight. And when it runs out of you to attack, it points at everything else. The economy, the bad luck, the rigged game. Anything to prove there's no point in trying. So no, I am not here to sell you good vibes. Faking a bright side over that voice never worked, and it was never going to. But what they told you positive thinking is, that was the lie. The real thing might be the one tool you have never actually picked up. Here is what that voice actually is. It is not proof that you are broken. It is a habit of thought, the mind running the same 3 grooves it has worn deep over the years, replaying what went wrong on a loop, blaming you first before the facts are even in, and jumping straight to the worst version of whatever comes next. Every mind on earth does some version of it. Yours just got loud, and it got early, and no one ever taught you that you were allowed to question a single word of it. So you took it as the truth. You built a whole picture of yourself out of your own worst commentary and then wondered why you could never move. Positive thinking was never about pretending the voice is not there. It is about one thing only. Who gets to drive when it starts talking? And listen, hearing that voice does not make you weak or damaged. The most solid men I have ever known hear it too. The self-doubt, the worst case, the who do you think you are. They just stop believing that hearing it and obeying it were the same thing. Nobody has a clean head. Nobody is only their darkest thought. You are not a negative man or a positive man. You are a man with a mind that produces junk all day, like every man alive, slowly learning that he does not have to sign for every package it drops at the door. Feeling the dark thought is not the failure. Taking dictation from it and calling that dictation reality is the only part that was ever yours to change. Here's the part nobody says to your face. A thought is not a fact, and it is not an order. When your head says you will blow this, do not even start. That is not the truth walking in the door, and it is not a command you are required to obey. It is weather. It moves through. You do not have to argue with the rain, and you do not have to pretend it is sunny. You just do not let it decide whether you leave the house. It was never your conditions, or your history, or the voice that keeps the score. It was that you kept treating the thought like it had authority over your hands. It does not. You do. That sounds small. It is the entire game. Real positive thinking, the kind nobody put on a poster, is just this. You stop letting the loudest thought in the room pick your next move. So here's the one move. Not affirmations in the mirror. Not lying to yourself that you feel great. One question. The next time the thought hits, you are a mess. It is pointless. Everyone can see it. You do not argue with it, and you do not fake cheer over it. You ask one thing. What is the next useful move, regardless of this thought, and then you make it. Small. Send the message you have been avoiding. Open the bill. Stand up. Put the one dish in the sink. The thought can keep talking the whole time. You just stop waiting for it to hand you permission it was never going to give. You are not deciding the thought is false. You are deciding it does not get the wheel. That is the difference between a man run by his head and a man who owns his hands. You will fail at this. The voice will win some days. It will say worthless, and you will believe it all the way down and lose the whole afternoon to it. That is not the end of the work. That's the work. It was never have the dark thought. It is catch it faster. Believe it for an hour instead of a week, then a few minutes instead of an hour. Then one day you notice it start, and you make the move anyway. And it loses a little of its grip every single time you do not obey it. One morning, the voice says its worst line, and you are already on your feet, boots on, halfway out the door before it even finishes the sentence. That is not a man who thinks positive. That is a man who stopped taking orders from his own head. You do not have to silence the voice. You do not have to win the argument. You just have to stop letting it drive a little sooner each time. That is a skill, and skills are built, not born. I will be here tomorrow to work the next rep with you. Do not hand at the wheel tonight. Come back. If this hit you, subscribe and ride with us daily. No comfort, just discipline.
Subscribe. Tomorrow, you drive stronger.